Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of the Accedo Playback Podcast, the podcast bringing you the latest industry news, trends, and tech advancements in the OTT and streaming industry. My name is Stanley Auger, and as always, I am joined alongside my colleague and fellow co-host, Neil Van Zyl. Listen, I'm really excited to dive into some of the topics, some of the guests that we have today. Before we even get into that, though, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a little cooler here in the Toronto area, thankfully, after the super hot start to the summer. So I'm grateful. We needed some rain, so it's really good to see. As Stanley said, we have some very exciting guests and topics tonight. We have Lucy joining us from Germany and Jose joining us in Sweden. Lucy, do you want to give yourself a little bit of an introduction?
Yes, of course. Thank you for inviting us to this podcast. It's actually my first time being on a podcast, so I'm a little bit nervous. So hi, everyone. I'm Lucy Nguyen. I was actually part of the iCandidape acquisition. So I was the first employee of iCandidape, and now I'm part of the Accedo team, and I'm very happy to be here. And my role at Accedo now is Business Development Director for Emerging Technologies.
So, Lucy, before we get into things too much further, can you talk a little bit about iCandiLab and what the purpose was with the acquisition made by Accedo?
Yeah, so I think it all started with both companies having the same vision for XR and media. So iCandidape started with the vision of augmenting every video experience or media experience with a layer of augmented reality experiences for the users to interact with contextual information, right? And who would know that a long time ago at a bigger company like Accedo, there was like a champion within the company like José who was pushing for the same vision. And after so many years working in parallel, I think it was just time to, join the forces, working together on the vision and having the big scale of Accedo and the powerful place Accedo is in to really scale that idea and make that vision a reality.
And Jose, do you want to give yourself a little introduction and maybe a bit about the Extend solution?
Yeah, so my name is José Somolinos. I'm based out of the Stockholm headquarters of Accedo. I started 9 years ago in the Hong Kong office, where I also started my long wandering in the desert of XR for 9 years, been pushing for XR, sometimes by myself, sometimes with teams. And now I'm happy to have Lucy side by side, pushing for this, trying to make it possible. And then, talking about the augmented reality and virtual reality solution that we have created, which we call Extend. This is a proposition that we are launching based on all these 9 years of experience, right? During this year, we have created a number of demos, internal concepts, and customer deployments. And all of that combined with my own experience of working on the products department, on the design team. And we have combined all of that into this solution that hopefully will meet the requirements of most of the requirements that the customers will have to start in XR.
Imagine 9 years of working on XR. Just before we get into some of the topic areas, I have to ask about that, Jose. Talk to me about what that looked like 9 years ago versus where we are.
Oof. I remember the first demo I did. It was 3 weeks after arriving to Accedo in the Hong Kong office. There was a management meeting where all the CEO and the higher management was invited. And then me together with another developer that left the company a long time ago, we created a demo that it was on a cardboard device. It was plastic, but it was the cardboard style. With a phone there, we created a Game of Thrones experience where we put a 360 picture that I found on the internet with some PNGs of some of the characters and then a basic navigation of the content. And the cool thing is that back in the days, I had one of these devices that is called Leap Motion that allows you to see your hands and use hand controls to see your hands. So we attached that with tape to the front of the cardboard Then, so you were able to see your hands in front of the headset and have the possibility, to imagine how it will be to interact with the headset. That was 9 years ago, right? And we have videos of that. Michael Luns, the CEO of the company, having, moving his hand in front of the headset and, thinking that this is really cool, but I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, I was thinking, don't worry. Next year, Apple is going to release a headset, right? This next year became like a mantra that I repeat all over these years until this year, finally, it is reality. It is true.
I love it. I love, like, this mantra was part of iCane in a pitch all the time. Like, every year since, like, when we founded in 2017, we're like, to all of the investors and customers, Apple is going to come out with a device next year. Apple's going to come out next year. So, yeah, it's finally reality.
Wow. And now Jose is like, I told you so.
No, but really, I think I'm gonna put this image, this video that I created, during this demo. You will see how similar it is to the video that you see from Apple.
Okay, this is the founder, everybody, of XR in the room today.
No,
wow, what an
pioneer.
absolute.
No, there were many people before us, of course, right? But when the cardboard, we took the way for the cardboard, and that was kind of an eye-opening for everyone in the industry, saying that with just being very creative with the technology that we have, we were able to create new ways of navigation, new ways of interacting with content, right? And this is what it kept me all these 9 years attached to it. Because I saw the potential, and I'm happy that now people with the new Apple Vision Pro, they are able to see in the same way, with the same eyes, what I saw 9 years ago.
That's an incredible story, and thanks for sharing that journey with us, Jose. It's been a long time coming, and here we are. We get to talk about it today. I'm excited about it. I know Neil is. With that being said, let's get underway here. I'm actually going to direct this towards Lucy. Lucy, I gave a quick read of your article that you actually posted, which is AVP and its impacts on the media industry. Very good read, by the way. If you haven't read it already, it's under the insights and news sections on the Accedo website. Anyways, I want to start like really high level here, right? Because this is really new stuff. I guess just at a really high level, just talk to me about what Apple Vision Pro is and its stake in Accedo and some of the things that you're thinking about. Lucy, I just want to hear your perspective, and I'm sure this has been a long time coming for you as well.
Yes, it's a very open question, right? So maybe I just give you my take on what this new device on the market will do for all of us. So, as Jose already pointed out earlier, we were all really waiting for Apple to come out with a device, right? We didn't know whether it's going to be an AR device, a VR device, or so-called MR device. But we knew they were working on something. And the reason we were all waiting for it is because we know once Apple comes out with something, then they would have put a lot of thought into this, right? And because, everyone in that industry is already believing that XR is becoming the new platform, right? But going into the stage of a new platform is a lot of work, a lot of effort in defining a new way of interacting with that platform, right? Or a new way of monetizing or building experiences, valuable user experiences on that kind of platform. So probably we were all waiting because we knew Apple would do a very good job in launching a device, and they did. So, and the interesting thing is if you really pay attention on the wording, they were never mentioning the word like XR or like metaverse, right? Like all of these words that are right now open in the market and everybody's talking, sometimes with a little bit of a negative notion to it. They never mentioned that. The only thing that Tim mentioned in the beginning was maybe like, yeah, he believes that AR is going to be like very important in the future, right? So they really used the term like spatial computing. And this is something that I think is really helpful to the mass market, to the general public to actually understand, okay, what were we all talking about when we actually were talking about metaverse and immersive experiences, right? It's like a new It's a new platform, and this new platform is spatial computing. And the special thing about this is now people understand that spatial computing means the new user interface is your three-dimensional space, right? And Apple gave us a very good glimpse into how these kind of interactions could look like. And I think the most important thing for the general public is to actually see value in that and understand the advantages of spatial computing. And the advantage of Apple is they have an existing ecosystem, right? We already have their phones. We already have their tablets. We already have like their laptops and computers and, their entertainment platform. And they're bringing everything that we know already to that new platform. So it's familiar enough for us to understand, okay, I already know how to use my phone. I already know how to use Apple TV. I already know how to use my MacBook, right? So it's just an elevated experience from what we already know. And I think that's what they do best. And they gave us that new, standards in maybe UI and UX design, where the entire industry is just looking at that and saying, okay, we've been waiting for that. We can learn from that, and maybe we could enhance that or, adapt it to our use. I think the most important thing is really for the general public to understand what it actually means, spatial computing.
Actually, that's a great final point there, and I want to bounce this back to Jose. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on what spatial computing is and what makes it up? I know Lucy gave a great overview, but let's get into it a little bit more if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because Lucy just said almost everything what is spatial computing. I can comment as well a little bit on beginning on what Lucy said about being very familiar with the platform, right? So one of the main differences compared with other headsets, is not only the hardware that is slightly better or much better, no? That's something that ultimately hardware providers, OEMs, are going to converge into the same thing in the same way that Android and iOS devices are very, very similar. Maybe at the beginning iPhone had a very big advantage, but Android providers created a new way to catch up with iPhone, and then they share the same type of capabilities right now. But the key thing here is that when I connect my Meta, when I connect my Android glasses, when I connect my Lenovo and Pico, everything is empty. I need to build up that personality. I need to build up my own taste, download apps one by one. I need to create all this ecosystem of apps that Apple right now, if I can confess that I don't have a Apple Vision Pro yet, unfortunately, but I'm sure that if I connect there with my iCloud, everything will be there as I find it familiar. And that's one of the things that it is very important. Meta tried to do the same linking with Facebook, but of course that backfired very badly. They're trying to do the same, linking your friends and stuff, but it's not the same. There's not the same trust level that is bringing Meta to the platform than iOS.
So when we talk about, because Jose, you've been in the industry for 9 years, when we talk about other headsets that have been used previously, is really that the big difference then? Is the familiarity when we're talking about, maybe not so much the hardware, but how that's presented sort of to the day-to-day consumer, if you will?
Yeah. It's one of these cases that Apple has created the same product but redefined it, adding this little extra touch, and we did that with phones, like with the smartwatch, with tablets, everything, also even the TV, the Apple TV. Is that this little extra push of technology quality, the hardware quality and the UI and the service very polished that makes it completely a new product category. But that doesn't mean that Apple is going to stay like that, right? It will be really unfair to say that Apple has created something entirely new. If you look at LinkedIn right now, if you combine all the posts that hardware providers are sharing about, like, you see this, like a navigation model that we did it before. You see how they put videos like that. We did it before, and we can talk all over again. There are a few things that are, or very, 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 very few things that are completely new, because most of them, they were being researched by Meta, by other providers, by Snapdragon and stuff, right? So the difference that they are making that visible for for the masses, and they are making it desirable. That's the difference. Before, it was a geek game. It was something that people were related with, just video gamers and geeky people, and completely useless because they try a video on a cardboard device 5 years ago of a skiing slope that make them dizzy, and they thought, oh, this is gonna fail, right? But in the same way that people saw the first iPhone with the drink my beer app, or light the lighter, and they were thinking, why in a billion years I will have a smartphone, right? And look at that now, right? So Apple is bringing that familiarity, and is gonna be for sure the one bringing the content. And that's the second part that we can talk about a billion years about that, but content is going to be the main trigger for people to want to try that. If you don't have the right amount, so the right quality of content and something that relates to you, you're never going to want to put the headset for more than 5 minutes. But if you have me, for example, as a Formula One fan, if I get the possibility to have a pit wall view with all the different cameras, all the different metadata attached to it, maybe even able to jump to different positions of the circuit, then definitely I will pay for that, and I will spend 2 hours there. That's kind of what Apple can bring.
Let's tap into the, I guess, media component of that a little bit more. How does the Apple headset vary from previous headsets when it comes to things like just even TV watching experiences or social viewing experiences? Lucy, do you want to comment on that?
Yes, so I think to many people's surprises, Disney was announcing that they're going to be available on Apple Vision Pro from day one, right? I think that's going to have like a huge impact on the entire media industry. And I think we can talk to a lot of XR companies out there, and also ask Jose and all of the iCandy members. Everybody was pitching that exact concept to all of these media companies already. So we can even dig into our, G Drive folders and pull up mockups that show maybe the exact same thing, right? But now Apple is doing that. Apple brought Disney Plus to Apple Vision Pro. And now's the time really for all of these media companies out there to really understand, okay, there is a new play for them. So spatial computing is a new platform for media companies, or a new platform for them to bring their content to customers and their audiences. So I think this is gonna be a trigger for all of the conversations that we already have to revive them and help all of these media companies understand how they could actually accomplish what Disney Plus did on Apple Vision Pro, but not only, to launch, for example, their own OTT and streaming platform on any kind of XR device, but really to work on a long-term content and hardware strategy for all of these companies to understand what needs to be done on their side, and who are the partners that they should work with, like Accedo, to help them along this journey.
Now, personally, I haven't watched any type of video streaming on XR, but I'm curious to know, is this the first sort of, streaming that you can do on an XR platform? Is this the first time that we're seeing something of this scale? Jose is shaking his head. I just think Disney Plus and just how big that is, what type of a, tactic that is. But Jose, please explain.
No, I mean, from the days of Oculus, when Meta was called Oculus, right? They launched a platform inside their own platform called Oculus TV. And it was the same proposition. It was, you were watching TV on your living room, on a specific living room created for you, very fancy as well. And then the goal was that, any video provider could do a a transfer of their existing application created in Android TV, and port that into Oculus TV with very few changes, right? And Accedo was helping Oculus at this time to bring some of these content providers to the platform, right? But that didn't stick because of different reasons, right? Like first, content providers were not yet into XR. The flat video use case was not yet done by Apple. So as I mentioned, not made desirable. Before it was like a curiosity, something useless. I was, we were pitching that all over the place, and people were like, why people will watch that on a headset having the TV? And these words were resonating with the same ones that I was listening in 2010 when we were bringing the first OTT apps to the mobile, and they were saying why people would like to watch on a mobile instead of in a TV. And now mobile is the main video platform in the world, video consumption platform, right? So in the same way, people change habits, generations grow, and then we do things differently, right? And when we are proven wrong, even the CEO of Apple said it very recently. If a good idea makes you think twice, makes you think again, why not embracing it, right? So I think that this is the way that we're having now. Yeah.
Well, I don't think your life's work is useless by any means, Jose, and it's great to see the fruits of your labor finally paying off. Okay, let's take that a step further then. So, why does it make sense now? Useless versus okay, now it makes sense. What's been the transition? And I see Disney Plus with this, and I think we've heard the word sort of gimmicky, or it doesn't really make sense. Why does it make sense now?
I would say that the Apple brand is what people believe, because they know, they are familiar with the tablets, and they know how perfect they work. So they port all this knowledge that they have about the platform, and they use that they imagine how this headset will work. People that have already tried it for real, they say, that they live up to the expectations. So the headset is very, very good. I understand that before, the difference was maybe a little bit less quality. Yeah, more, less resolution, worse audio, but the proposition was the same. I come back to the same. Content is the most important. If you know that you're going to have all your Apple TV content there, you're going to be able to watch it on a big screen, on a very high resolution screen with spatial audio. If you know they're going to have the high quality Disney content with some never before seen interactions with your favorite characters and documentaries, people are curious to know about that. It's just that before there was not enough investment to create that. So Apple hasn't developed that yet, I'm pretty sure. But they are setting that proposition to couple with the quality. And I think that this is what makes the difference. Lucy, I don't know if you have any other view on that.
I echo everything that you're saying, right? It's a good question to ask, like, why now, right? Why not a couple of years before, or maybe a few years later? We believe now is really the time for every business to think about their XR strategy, because XR is coming, and to stay relevant for your customers, at least you have to, maybe you don't start implementing something yet, but you have to understand what spatial computing means and what kind of benefits it could bring to your own business, right? And especially when we are here in this media entertainment business, and now again, seeing Disney Plus making the first step into this, all of these, entertainment or immersive entertainment, experiences and ideas, everything that you're seeing, that short clip of, Disney Plus on Apple Vision Pro, right? All of these things now come to reality because we've been pitching these ideas, but we had the problem of, okay, there's not a hardware piece out there that's being accepted by the mass market, and content companies, media companies are not investing much into XR content production. And now with Apple and Disney triggering this momentum, everything is happening at once. All of the OEMs out there, and there's so many posts on LinkedIn and everywhere around the world saying that OEMs are, really looking into how Apple is doing things, and they're revisiting their own plans and making changes to their own headsets and maybe delaying their launch just to be, updating what they have been working on to be on the same level, at least at the same level what Apple was bringing out there, right? So there's a lot of momentum on the hardware side where they're putting a lot more investments into hardware to make that accessible to mass market. But now also the media companies understand, okay, spatial computer is going to be a new platform. Now we have to think about our midterm and long-term investments. So this is a time for us and for everybody to really define these strategies, which we've been pitching for a long time. But now's the time when we could actually take action and help them understand, okay, Apple Vision Pro is one of the devices, right? Like this is maybe the start. I mean, there have been other devices out there too, but this is the start for us to think about it. But after Apple Vision Pro, there's going to be so many other hardware devices that are coming. Maybe at the same level, same what Jose just said, right? Like about iPhone. iPhone came out, it was like revolutionary with the touchpad. But then maybe Samsung came out with a product that was comparable at another price point. And that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen with Apple Vision Pro. So there's going to be a lot of other hardware coming out. So we have like more of a selection as mass market customers, but also for media companies to evaluate. And now media companies have to, embrace their journey and think about what can they do to provide to their own audiences and learn as early as possible.
You mentioned something there that was interesting. It was XR kind of had a bit of an abstraction to it previously to this announcement. There was just a bit of uncertainty around some of that. And I know you mentioned that in a recent LinkedIn post of yours, how your family didn't really understand what you were doing before. But do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Maybe there's a bit of a clearer picture for XR and its use cases now?
Okay, so yes, happy to talk about that. So I come from a very traditional Vietnamese family, and our bread and butter business is, restaurants, right? So naturally, your family just wants to and we're like first generation immigrants. My parents, they came to Germany, they started their business, and naturally they want their kids to, embark on the same journey, right? But I did not. And then I started to work on something that was like completely new. And we started in 2017. I mean, like later than Jose, but still it was like early at that time, at least for the mass market. So when I tried to explain to them what we were doing, and mostly when I explain, I take the sports viewing experience as a use case, right? Because I thought, okay, maybe it's like the most or the easiest use case to understand. But they wouldn't understand it because when I explain it, I only had my phone to explain it, right? So I would be, okay, so this is the mobile AR experience. So the first question would always be, but why should I hold up my phone to interact with AR content, right? It's a very legit question. And my uncle who asked that question already got that idea. So he understood the use case, but he didn't understand the form factor, and it's legit, right? So they were like just asking why would people spend time on working on something like this, because it seemed gimmicky. And now with Apple coming out, I can actually really just show them the video. I haven't done it yet because I haven't seen them after the announcement, but I'm going to show them the video, and I'm very sure they will be able to understand what we've been talking about, because it's an environment that they understand. They see like the same UI design that they already see on their smartphones, right? And the way also the storytelling of Apple will help them understand, what we've been working on. And it now all makes sense, I hope, to them. And hopefully they'll be like, yeah, rooting, Lucy, continue what you were doing.
I can really, I mean, this really resonates with me because last week I was on two events in Singapore and in Mumbai, and we were presenting to our customers, what are the new takes on XR. And that came very handy that Apple presented that just a couple of days before the first event. And of course, the first two slides that I put, it was 2 videos of Apple with the use cases of video experiences. And for me, these 2 minutes were worth before like 20 minutes of explanations about why XR is so cool. And now with just 2 minutes of video, my job is very easy, right? It's like, okay, where do we sign the contracts?
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like the first domino has fallen, right? Let's talk about what that means going forward in terms of video streaming. So, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of questions I can ask from this, but what do we think other video providers are going to do, and what type of experiences that they weren't getting on traditional video platforms, what are they getting now? What can they look forward to?
Video experiences, until now, when they were hearing about XR, they were thinking that was like a new screen. They were thinking, I'm doing my Roku app, I'm doing my Fire TV, my web, iOS. Why not XR? But then when you were sharing with them the numbers of the devices that were available on their market, they were really reluctant to invest, because we were talking to product owners, and they were thinking in terms of eyes in the content, right? They were like, I need as many eyes as possible, because this is going to drive subscription. This is going to drive engagement. And at this moment in time, and probably in still many months to come, this is not going to get mass market yet. Video companies need to understand that this is a new paradigm. This is something completely new that will make them grow in a different level. In the same way that video companies pass from set-top boxes and satellite and cable to OTT, and they brought a new number of businesses and people working in different type of partnerships, different type of monetizations. It created a new branch of their company. So in the same way, this spatial computing or metaverse or XR, whatever we want to call it, is going to bring the same type of growth. And especially if we are talking to operators. Operators are traditionally in between everyone, in between people. They are the connecting people, no? We take that Nokia old slogan. They were the ones bringing the phone. They were the ones bringing the television. They were the ones bringing the DSL, or the internet, and now the smartphones, right? And the connectivity with the smartphone. And so this quadruple play has been there playing a role, and they were, like being the spider on the net. But for a long time already, the competition with each other is being on marginal gains. So right now, an operator, they have this super important tournament content for this year, but next year they're going to lose it. They're going to get another one. The package for internet now, instead of being 10 gigabytes, is 50 gigabytes at this speed, and no one cares anymore because it's too fast for what you need, right? So the competition has very marginal gains. So what we are telling our customers is that this new spatial computing, with the new ways of monetizing, the new partnerships that are going to bring, the new content production that is going to be used, and the new way to interact with the users and give them a space, even if it's virtual, it's going to be a virtual space where the users are going to be able to collaborate and interact within each other, with the content, and with the brand. This is going to bring 2 digits growth again to operators. This is going to be the quintuple play, hopefully. So the operators and the other media industries, when they need to start, is to start now. It's better to start fast and grow than wait another 2 years and see how it happens, and then do the investment, because by then probably new players in the game are going to maybe take advantage and grow faster than they do.
What I would also like to add to this is, when we're talking about spatial computing, this is like an entire new platform, which also means we have like a new user interface, right? Before, when we're talking just about streaming on TV, on your phone, on your tablet, you have like a very specific limited real estate, right? You have like your 2D screen. Now you have like this 3-dimensional space in your audience's home. And this will make media companies rethink their entire new about content production in an entirely new way, because now you're not only producing for this limited, square, your movie, but you can actually think about more than that. How can you elevate the storytelling of your, 2D screen with the entire real estate that you have around that 2D screen now? You can enhance it by, giving access to 3D models, or, branching narratives around the TV screen, or additional information. You can have like new forms of storytelling, basically, where not the main screen is one story, but you could leverage the entire user interface across the user space to add additional content to it as well. And then it also opens up new ways of monetization, because now back then when we talked about mobile or web, we had new forms of monetization by simply having these advertising banners on a website, right? Now we have like a three-dimensional space in a person's room. How can we leverage that real estate to integrate advertising or product placement, maybe in a less intrusive way or in a gamified way? But there are new technologies and new user interfaces and real estate that companies could leverage to create new storytelling and experiences in media. So I think there's a lot to think about, because we haven't tapped into that interface even yet.
What's interesting is you use the word storytelling, and the partnership with Disney and Apple actually kind of makes sense now, right? Something that Neil and I, and I'm sure other listeners, are very interested in as well, are sports. And how do you create an engaging experience with that? Lucy, I heard you allude to that as well. Talk to me about sports. Like, what can, somebody who's watching a sport experience, what might that bring? What might that look like with this type of experience?
Again, I would refer to the video. If you look at that video, right, that Apple Vision Pro, and actually, Disney, it was part of Disney's clip, you would see this immersive interface around you. So you have like your virtual screen, or maybe even like your physical screen, where you have your sports broadcast as usual, right? You're familiar with that. But then all of the data, the statistics, game statistics, player statistics, team statistics, everything that before that you were consuming on your second screen device, on your mobile phone, in parallel to your main broadcast, you have it now all at once in front of you in your spatial room. And that's what I meant by, leveraging the new three-dimensional interface, which is now really a computing interface, to fill that with valuable information for the user. The future experience would be, you would be able as a user, as a sports fan, to customize and personalize your entire space around your TV screen or your sports broadcast. You can select what kind of statistics you're interested in. You don't have to look down to your phone and up to your screen anymore. It's all around you in one space, in one interface, basically. So you have this enhancement, and right now, maybe it seems like an information overload, right? Because you have your broadcast and you have like a lot of information around you. And this is the point. The media companies, or everyone actually, now has to learn what is the perfect balance of a valuable user experience, right? Like, do you really want to have like this overload of the statistics? Or would you want to allow your customers to personalize the widgets or modules that they are interested in? What's the perfect way to visualize data in 3D? All of these things we have to start learning now, because otherwise, it's a natural evolution. We're going to get to that part.
What's funny is my one friend, he's found a solution to this, and that is buy more TVs and have them in his man cave. So I can just think about some of the cost savings that he would have if he had one of these sorts of devices anyways.
Yeah, I would like to complement what Luz said. And now I'm going to put the hat of the old UX designer that I've been, that started working on print and then moved to webmaster, if you remember this type of naming, and then to mobile and everything. And it's always the same type of transition, right? Like, we take what we know and we push it into the new platform, right? For the web, it was like taking the newspapers and just copy paste there. And then we start realizing that new patterns emerge, and, like cleaner ways to navigate and stuff. If you compare a website from early 2000s to one now, is like a nothing alike, right? The same way happened with the touch screen. At the beginning, it was like the same websites. And then because we have all this space on the screen, we were adding more and more stuff and multiple buttons, multiple features and swipes left and right and different layers of interaction, right? Until we realized that vertical scrolling was working very well. And then the most simple the experience, the better, right? And right now we're living this new transition that is even more complex because it's not only interactive, but it's also a new different dimension. At the beginning, we're going to see the same patterns that we have right now. And I'm really happy to see that Apple use this approach of having like the same flat UIs that we're having right now on the iPads and phones. Not only because this is going to be more familiar for the people that are going to use that, and they're going to be used to the interfaces. They're going to be intuitive from day one. Also, it's going to be easier to create for designers. But this is going to be a transition period, and it's going to last. We're going to all learn how the interactions is going to be in from here, from 5-10 years, and probably, hopefully, it will look completely different to what we look now. One of the things that I've been working in the innovation department for a number of years as well, right? Here at Accedo. We have been trying to see what's next, what's going to be the ultimate user experience, right? One of the things that now with the AI trend is coming as well is the voice UX. Why do we need to have navigation if you can direct what you want directly, and have a conversation with someone? And then I'm sure with the VR experience that we're going to have now, with the virtual screens that we're going to have, we're going to be able to put a body to Siri into the voice assistants, and even have a concept that I created and I presented for I don't know which context about Flix, the smart assistant of Netflix.
Oh God.
That's good.
And that assistant is guiding you through games to find your content. And even at the end, is watching the content with you and making jokes if you wanted to, right? And that assistant can take multiple shapes. It depends if you're a kid, if you're a fan of a different TV show or not. You can have that assistant could be promoted, like now you have the new Avengers movie. So the assistant can take the Avengers shape and interact with you. This is going to come. We cannot start day zero with that because people might be surprised. But as a UX designer, I'm looking forward to be part of that. I'm looking forward to redefine how the industry is going to create the new patterns for interaction with content.
That's a great point. We've talked a lot here about the user experiences, but let's go a little bit further than that because we have all these different types of content providers that are going to be looking to build these experiences. Now, what sort of tools do you need for that? So how do you build XR experiences, and how does it vary between platforms, right? I mean, Android has AR Core, iOS has AR Kit. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Definitely. And this is something that, as I was mentioned at the beginning, our Extend solution tries to address, because our company has almost 20 years old, right? And we have been going through all the transitions that the content owner, operators, and broadcasters have been passing during these years. And one great example to create a parallel system is about the smart TV market. Back in the days, the smart TV wanted to be smart, right? They didn't want to be attached to a box anymore. So they wanted to have their own OS. So they started creating, web OS for LG and Samsung Tizen and Sony and all of them. And then the content owners and the operators were coming to us with a big problem, like saying, I don't have 20 engineers to create all this platform for them all. So Accedo, what it did back in the day, created an SDK called XDK. Very, very creative. That until now is still used, and that is like a native way to create apps once and develop them to all the different platforms. And based on that experience, as I said, Extend is based of all the experience, all the collaborative experience of the company during all these 10 years and 16 offices and I don't know how many people. we are creating the same paradigm. We are reducing the complexity for the customer. So in such a way that we are creating everything in Unity, and we bring the different frameworks that are required to support all these platforms. As you say, for iOS and Android, you will need Core AR and AR Kit. You will need OpenXR. You will need the native platforms. For example, for the Snapdragon Qualcomm chipsets, you will need the Spaces SDK, and so on, right? So we're bringing all these frameworks together, and we're creating our layer that makes communicate them in between them all. So this is for the technical, how to push the button and create all the different apps. We are abstracting that complexity. After the second part that you mentioned, the content, how to start. I understand I can feel very daunting saying, oh wow, I need to invest a lot of money to produce VR content, to produce 3D models. But exactly our proposition extend, what it helps is to start with what the customer already has. In this case, they have a website, they have already an application. It could be Android TV, it could be web, that we can very easily port into XR. Very easily. So there's no upfront long investment, 9 months of development. We can really bring it in. And then we can add different add-ons that, once again, they don't need big investment. It could be as simple as a web view. It could be as a simple metadata integration for sports that they already have. It could be they have multi-camera streams. They have auto-generated highlights that are created on the spot, and they have the API to access those. We can bring them in very, very easily. And then the customer just needs to publish that on the name, and then the users will have something that we believe that is better than the current experience on TV, right? And this is a good way to start. Then once they have tested the waters and they understand, oh wow, this has a great potential, then we can start creating more advanced 3D engagement experiences together with sponsors, for example. We can create like a more futuristic navigation ways, or even if the content owner wants to test, they can do 3D or VR video productions and then bring this new, like immersive layer of video content into the platform. But this is not necessary. This is a second stage. First stage is try it with what you have today. And this is what I think that our proposition extend is very valuable. This is why recently at NAB, this proposition won an award for the IABM awards. And we are really proud about that, because I think it resonates very well. To start in XR, you don't need a huge investment. You can start now if you want.
Incredible. Thank you very much, Jose. I want to be a little mindful of your time here. I know it's late for you too, so I'm just going to ask you one more question to both of you. What are you guys going to do this weekend? You've been flying nonstop for a couple weeks. I'm sure you're exhausted. Are you just going to sleep the whole time?
Me? So, I'm definitely gonna have a glass of wine, and I'm not gonna start at a weekend. I'm gonna start tonight. And then, I have friends coming over. We're gonna barbecue. It's been a really long time since we barbecued in my garden. I'm gonna have a great time. And I'm doing pottery. Handcrafting is still important, guys. Even virtual worlds are important. You still have to do something with your hands.
Wine and pottery, that's a pretty good combination. Yeah. Awesome.
That sounds very good. Here in Stockholm, we have very nice weather, so I'm gonna probably go with my wife on the lake and just refresh, because I came back from India this Monday, and next Friday I'm flying again to Australia and New Zealand. So wow. This is gonna be my weekend to have some rest.
Well, like you guys have both mentioned, it sounds like there's a lot of traveling going on, and with that being said, I just want to say thank you one final time for taking the time to join us on the Playback Podcast today. I'm sure you're both busy. Like I said, the domino has fallen. I'm sure that looking in the future, things aren't going to be slowing down. Jose, the 9 years are finally going to pay off here. Not that they hadn't before, but congratulations, on that end, on sticking through it. And Lucy, I know that there's lots of travels taking place on your end. Thank you again so much. Any closing remarks or anything else that our listeners should know?
Thank you for having us. We'd be happy to jump on another podcast very soon when there's another major announcement coming up, and maybe there's an announcement from our side too. So it was really exciting to be on this episode. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, same here. It was really a pleasure. Looking forward for the next one.
We'll be attaching some of Jose and Lucy's most recent blog posts to the episode, so if you guys want to read a little bit more, please check that out. Also, feel free to follow them on LinkedIn. They're great follows. They have very great insights.
Thank you once again to both Lucy and Jose for joining us on today's episode. If you have any ideas for future episodes, or if you just want to reach out to say hello, send us an email at playback.podcast@accedo.tv, or you can reach out to us directly on LinkedIn. Until the next episode, have a great rest of your week, and thanks for listening.